Hi guys, today I'm going to review the infamous Seiko Alpinist, the SARB017. Let's start off with the dimensions. So case diameter on this guy is about 38 and a half, 39. Yeah, I get about between 38 and a half to 39. Let's measure it this way. Yeah, it's tough with the crown, the two crowns there, but about 38 and a half to 39 millimeter. It's about a 30, where's like a 39 millimeter watch. And then let's do the lug to lug. Lug to lug, about 46. It is a thick guy. 12 millimeters thick. Definitely wears thick. I'll show some wrist shots later. And 20 millimeter lug width, obviously. I have it here on a Strap Mill Canada brown leather strap, which is showing tons of wear. Super comfortable strap. Highly recommend it. This one I believe has been discontinued. I don't see it on their site anymore. But I think the color tone of the brown matches the Alpinist perfectly. You've probably seen them on a ton of different shades of brown. So let's talk about the case. It's got a polished bezel. It's got vertical brushing on the lugs. And then on the sides, it's got a chunky mid case that's all polished. Sapphire crystal with clear anti-reflective coating, which sits slightly proud of that bezel. Insides of the lugs are also polished. On mine here, they've picked up tons of scratches from the absurd amount of strap changes and bracelet changes that I've done with this guy, but it always ends up back on a brown leather strap. Next thing we'll look at is the other side of the case, actually, before we move on. And this side you'll see the signed Seiko screw down crown that gives it the 200-meter water resistance. The other crown here is for that internal compass. This one is a bit too easy to turn, so you always find that the internal compass would have moved around on you. One thing that they probably could have improved there is the firmness of the secondary crown there. Case all-around brushing quality and transitions are super crisp. Gotten lots of compliments on the finishing of this guy. So you'll see the brushing here, and it's got a crisp transition to the polished section, which runs all along the crown guards and onto the other end of the case. It's got these stepped, polished sections on the inside of the lugs. Beautiful polishing on that bezel. Just super, super high quality polishing and finishing all around this watch. And mine has tons of scratches by now. But the polishing and case finishing really is amazing for this price point. Probably the best at this price range, certainly the best at this price range that I've come across. So that's the case. Case back says made in Japan, water resistant 20 bar, meaning 200 meters, and it's got that nice Alpinist logo engraved into the case back, screw down case back. Case back sits nice and flat on the wrist with no sharp edges or anything on the back. There is a curvature to the case, as you can see, So it sits nicely on the wrist, although I would say it's a little bit tall. It does feel tall, and it's mostly due to that case back bubble. So that was the case. Let's move on to the dial. The dial is the reason I bought this one. That green, it's just amazing green that they've used here, and the gold accents just complement it perfectly. That combination, I know some people seem to dislike it, so I guess it's a love it or hate it kind of a thing. But to me, that green is just perfect. Amazing sunburst finish. Just in the right sunlight and outdoor conditions, looks just amazing on the wrist. So let's take a little tour of the dial. Starting off on the outer edge of the dial, you see the internal rotating compass. And then you'll see this very cool, very field watch looking minute tracker all the way around. And that is where the loom dots are housed for each hour on the dial. Working our way inside, we've got a circular white colored ring that encompasses the rest of the dial, and then you've got the gold colored markers with the 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 numerals, and then those triangular shaped markers for the remaining markers, and the date cutout at 3 o'clock, which is done absolutely perfectly. It's got a gold colored outline around the date cutout, and it's got a darker shade of green as the background with white text on the date wheel, and the date wheel is just the right size. It's a perfect amount of legibility on the wrist. Moving on to the text on the dial, so you've got a applied Seiko logo in gold. That looks perfect. I think printed would have detracted from the look, so applied Seiko logo. And then it's got automatic, die shock 23 joules and 20 bar above the 6 o'clock. And that is in white text. The automatic is nice italic font, which looks great. Moving in to the handset. The handset, another thing on this watch that looks just perfect in place. We've got cathedral style hands, hour marker, and minute hand is like a syringe shaped minute hand with that beautiful matching cathedral shaped, almost like a teardrop shaped seconds hand. All with a good amount of loom application. And this watch, for a field watch, has a great amount of loom. The loom dots all the way around the dial are light up perfectly, and it's got the legendary Seiko Lumabright, so you can't go wrong there. Loom is absolutely satisfactory on this watch. For the amount of application of loom that you see, it turns out to be a bit surprising on how well it seems to glow in the dark. Handset is also all gold, and the gold it's done really nicely. It is all polished, but it doesn't look cheap, so nicely done there. I can't think of anything I would like to have seen differently, and nothing about it really annoys me. It's all done perfectly, and I'm not too crazy about gold plated or gold finished gold finishing on my watches, but in this case it just works perfectly. On the bottom of the dial it does say Japan movement, and then it's got the movement number. Movement not accurate at all. I've stopped keeping track of the accuracy. I don't wear it for long enough consecutive days in a row for it to really be an issue, because I'm always changing out my watches. But yeah, don't buy this for the movement. It's not super accurate. So that is the dial. What else can I tell you? So 20 bar. I would say the only problem I have with this is when I put it on bracelet, it feels a bit too heavy, and then when I have it on a strap or a bracelet, it's just a little bit top heavy. So when you're wearing a full sleeve shirt or a jacket or a sweater, it does get caught on your clothing sometimes, and it kind of, gets pushed to the bottom of your wrist, because your clothing will snag on this side of the watch on your left wrist. Not a huge problem, but just wished it was thinner. I know there aren't too many Seiko automatics that are much thinner than this. That's probably my main concern, and I wish it was about 1 millimeter smaller in diameter. I think that would have just been perfect. But the size is not an issue. The size is really good. It's really good. 1 millimeter smaller, I believe, in the diameter would have just been awesome. They don't even have to make the lug to lug smaller, but just on the diameter, it just is a little bit big and a little bit chunky. So that is my quick review of the Seiko Alpinist, the infamous SARB017. It came with a throwaway strap, so I'm sure you will have tons of strap options. I've also worn this on my green Tropic strap, which looks pretty good, but highly recommend a brown leather strap. This one seems to be really nice. Yeah, but that's my quick review. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.